Hey there, welcome back to the barn. Last week I had this truck with a little bit of go. This week, let's see if I can get a little bit of whoa. The brakes are all schmutzed up. The pedal's frozen, the master cylinder I believe is junk. I pretty much bought almost everything new. I got a new master cylinder, a coil of brake lines, handful of fittings, a new flaring tool, which I'm gonna have to teach myself how to use. So if you came here to watch a full-on amateur do some brake work, you are in the right place. So come on, let's go do something, even if it's wrong. I think the first order of business, I might regret this later, but I'm gonna take the hood off just so I can get in there a little better. That hood hinge over there is absolute hot garbage. Actually, the hinge is fine. It's what it's attached to is been gone for the last 15 years. So I think I'm just gonna pull the screws out of the hinge from the hood and we'll start from there. Guess a 9/16. Half inch. Jackpot. This is something you definitely wanna have a buddy with. So as you can see, I'm gonna do it alone. I like a challenge. Actually, maybe I'll do it all manual here first. A little bit of rust in my ear already. That's a good start. Let's get this hood off. Kind of scared a little bit. Maybe a lot of bit, actually. Still, this isn't a Honda Accord hood here. This is the real deal. This isn't the torquiest model of this tool, but man, is it awesome. Normally, when I take a hood off, I usually write or draw a Sharpie around the hood hinge, so I make sure I get it in the right spot again. Definitely neglected to do that on this one. Just what I wanted. Oh, if this was in a box, this would say Team Lift on it right now. Holy crime in Italy, that is heavy. Okay, there she goes. Oh, is that an acorn? All right, lift with your back. Oh my. Actually, it's not so bad. I just can't put it down, I don't think. What am I gonna crush here? Oh, I hope I didn't scratch the paint on the hood. Oh. Yeah, it was easy. Pretty much did it itself. Okay, old man noises. All right, let's take a look here. What are we looking at? Full disclosure, I sprayed down all the nuts on the master cylinder. Well, and the wheel cylinders and the well, not the bleeders, I didn't care about that. Pretty much every joint in the line that I could because I'd like to have the option of reusing these fittings if needed. I don't know, I think I have the correct brake line. We'll know here shortly. But I'd like to keep all these fittings just in case the ones I ordered aren't correct, which is probably quite a good possibility actually. All right, the first line of attack, break those loose and see if I can get the rest of that master cylinder off. Never done this before, so you guys are getting ready to watch a absolute gong show. All right, probably seems weird, but I actually do have a couple line wrenches. And this one is the right one. Let's just see what happens if I twist the line or, oh, well that broke free. Oh, look at that. I don't think I would have won that bet. I guess before we get too far, I did investigate this the other day. Let's see how pristine this is here. Yep. I'm sure I could rebuild it. I figured for the 30 or 40 bucks, I figured it was worth starting fresh versus me butchering it. Perfect. So far, this is going better than I thought it would. Those threads look pretty nasty. And I don't necessarily care about if I twist off this line because I plan on redoing all lines. Whew, I can feel it heating up the line as I do that. Shocking that I actually have, well, no, it's not shocking that I have a line wrench. It's shocking that I found it. It has been a long time since I monkeyed with flare fittings. Honestly, maybe when I was in high school in auto mechanics might be the last time, and that was just a sample one. I know my dad and I did it years and years ago, but I honestly think we might have did it with just one of those plumbing flare tools. I don't know, maybe that's just what my memory is. I was pretty young. I don't remember it being an actual double flare. So I'm kind of, oh, there we go, intrigued. as to how this is going to go with this new tool. I should probably have the real ratchet, not this. Oh, I was scared there for a second. No, that's the ticket. Oh, snap my battery off. Let's do that. Oh. Probably pays to throw a little PB Blaster a week before you're going to do this. I'm going to marinate a bit. Oh, goodness. That is why I put in a solid floor drain, just for that reason. And the nut landed right on it. You know what? Now I'm curious if my brake pedal will move. Is it truly the master cylinder or is it something else? All right, you watch this thing. Hopefully that moves. It's not springing back necessarily, but I think it's working. I wonder if I should be doing this. Probably not. All right, so let's compare the old to the new. You gotta look pretty close, but this is the old, no, this is the old one. I can, yeah, I can tell. Diameter, that looks great. Wait, is this the right? I don't even know now. This was the back one before. They're backwards, is that okay? Or did I swap them in the 8 feet from there to here? I don't think so. All right, comparing. Yeah, those are definitely different. They're just swapped. Well, I thought long and hard about it. I'm just going to ignore it and leave it. Because it doesn't really matter. I think the line size is the same on both. For some reason, it just has a different fitting. That's my story. And I'm sticking to it at this point. I think if I remember correctly in the directions, you're supposed to mount this in a vise, leave this open, pour fluid in both of those, wait for it to drip out, put these plugs in, and then use something in the end to push that plunger just a little bit, 1/2 inch, 3/4 inch in and out to work out the air bubbles. All right, so it turns out that in order to put brake fluid in the master cylinder, you need to have brake fluid, which that's an issue. So I'm gonna take apart what I can, get these lines loose. Well, that's gonna be my next task, is just kind of working my way around down to the distribution block and then start going to the different wheels, removing lines. Let's see how long I can make this last. I wonder, is there a bolt underneath that? There is. Is that the way you're supposed to go about that? Jeepers. Maybe I'll change directions and go underneath the truck first. That sounds terrible, but let's give it a shot. All right, so here we are into the truck, and I'm just going to show you guys this because I already know everything. It's not that I need photographic or video evidence of how to put this trash all together. So the front reservoir loops around and goes to the top of my distribution block. And the other, so the back reservoir, comes around and goes down to the bottom before it splits off and goes every which direction through that, either the portioning valve or distribution block, whatever you want to call that. I wonder if that wire's supposed to be hooked up. Not right now. All right, let's see if I got the right wrench down here and start pulling stuff off. I did juice these up last week as well, so hopefully they cooperate just as good. All right, let's see if I can round this baby off. Oh no, actually, the nut's spinning. It wants to stay bit onto that line, but I think I can work her free here. Boy, for something you can just look at being right here, it's hard to get the right angle. I should have put this up on blocks, so I'm not just barely able to breathe while laying down underneath her. Seems like there's lots of extra fittings on this thing. That's what you want to ensure that you get the maximum amount of leaks on your rig. Oh, I broke it off, didn't I? Yep, that's fine. Maybe that's the best. Maybe I should just cut those. Maybe I will just go get my side cutters and cut that whole mess out. All right, brake line deletion. Hopefully commence. Hopefully that wasn't a fuel line. Just kidding. Oh, that one's good. I should have left that one. This is a bit Canadian, but I might take that mount off right there. Let's give that a try. I don't think my steering box will fall apart as I do that. Oh, blast, I lost that one. Oh, no, found it. All right, that wasn't so shabby. Well, now I lost it. Let's get a little tug on out of there. Sweet, now I can get some rough ideas of lengths. See if I can reuse some fittings, get some new fittings, start making lines. So where did I leave off? I think last time I was here, I was pulling apart the distribution block and the brake lines underneath there. I kind of went ham with the side cutters, cut everything loose. May or may not have cut the power for the back tail lights. I confirmed it, I did. It wasn't the brake line, it was a wire. I blew this off. I figured you guys didn't need to see me. I did that in the last video, trying to get this stuff free. I did get a couple of wheel cylinders in, and now I got my new brake lines. Kimber, it's not time. All right, now let me take a second to explain the tried and true process on how I turn this stuff into these little guys. You purchase a moderately fancy brake flaring tool from a two-day internet store. It's packaged like so. Comes with some copper line that you also purchased. It'll come like this, missing 50% of the pieces. So then you got to set up a return from the two-day internet store, which luckily enough, the next town over has a department store named Kohl's that you can drop stuff off real easy. My wife volunteered to do it. And I guess we're fortunate enough. Now she has a new pair of slacks. They were on sale. So then I looked up online on the auto parts store that has a green and red logo. They had the same style brake line tool in stock. Drove down there rainy morning. Out, it's out. So then I had to go to the other auto parts store. All they had was this kind, which I've used in the past. Not what I wanted, but kept me moving. Since that point, I've been making mediocre at best flares. Some of them were turning out semi-crooked. Some of them might actually work. I'll probably have to torque them to the moon, but that's okay. Another thing I've done is I've painted the master cylinder. Normally I don't paint anything like that. But like water pumps, things like that, I throw on. I think I'll miss some spray paint on there someday, and it's inevitable, I never do. I actually took care of it once. I was gonna do some sort of clear coat, but all I had is a rattle can of like polyurethane for wood that says right on there, the very, very fine print. I had to use like a telescope to read it. It says not for wood. Guess rattle can Rust-Oleum it is. And don't know where that came from. All right, like I said before, the wheel cylinder's on, tightened up. I can't believe it, but those original bolts actually came out of there. So one thing I almost forgot to do is on my brake hose, you gotta put this copper crush washer on there to thread into the back of the wheel cylinder. I inspected the original one, but unless it's rust colored, you can't really tell what's what there. I see a little something in there. All right, let's see what I can do here. Pull out the plug. Oh, it even threads in. It's the right one. Thanks, Rock Auto. This is not the most ergonomic situation for putting wrenches on this hose, I'll tell you that right now. Okay, it's torqued. All right, that seems tight. I do gotta get that clip on there. I'll probably do that someday. All right, so I am kind of doing something a little bit out of the norm. I think I am gonna bench bleed this. I was just gonna throw it on and just pump the brake fluid through with some help from somebody. But I'm not gonna follow exactly the directions. I made up some of my own bleeding lines, and then I'll fill these two reservoirs up with some new brake fluid. Make sure that my cockamamie lines are staying down in the fluid, which they seem to be. Give it some small pumps, and hopefully we see little air bubbles come out of there. Oh yeah, so far so good. I think it's actually working. I'm just going to do this real lightly, slowly, not just ram jam it until I don't see any air coming out. And then I'll be able to mount this baby on the firewall. That's actually taking way more than I thought it would. All right, so I probably did about 50 pumps. I don't see any more air. I did a mix of small little short strokes, some long full length, and I can just see it moving the fluid all the way through there. So no bubbles. I like it. I think ideally I would have mounted this, used these hoses while it was on the firewall and somebody pumped from the inside. That's technically not bench bleeding, but I don't think that matters. I just think you want to do this before you hook up to the actual brake lines. Okay, one nut started, two nuts started. You gonna hang out there, be a good boy? All right, let's find a wrench for that. A little bit from column A, a little bit from column B. Okay, I'll tell you what, part of me is dying to try that pedal right now. I think, I don't know, do I? I kind of think I almost have to. All right, oh, can I see it? Real slow. I think it's working. All right. Getting exciting, it's getting real. All right, so I got the front hardware on, new hardware, right there, as you can see. I got all the lines hooked up to the distribution block. I got the main one running back. I gotta do the back lines, but first I just jacked it up so I can take those back wheels off and replace those wheel cylinders because I'm sure those are hot garbage as well. And just a little heads up, driver's side rear is left-handed threads. All right, just in case I haven't made this abundantly clear, I've never done this before. I'm assuming I got to pull this axle out to get the hub off. Otherwise, there's nothing else that I see other than cobwebs and leaves that's holding that on. Otherwise, that would fall off as you're rolling down the road. So I spun these nuts off. Give this a little whack on the proper pry bar. And so I got a rounded over beveled punch. Let's see if that'll do anything. Boy, that thing must be made out of lead. All right, I got a dull carpenter's chisel. Got to get a little more aggressive with it. Oh, what's that? It popped out like a washer or a seal. What is that? Well, it's a little conical beveled apparatus to hold that in there. So I'm going to keep tapping around. All right, I figured it out. I was just using the wrong tool. I needed a bigger hammer. Tap my way around. Some of these conical spacers, I don't know, what do you call them, have come loose. And now I got the axle to wiggle. So I'll pick away at some of the RTV that was smushed in there. All right, now what? Okay. Well, this is exciting. Never done this before. Is exciting the word? I'm not sure. Looks like somebody installed this with either a hatchet or a chisel. Maybe that's just how it looks. Cool. At least it's got fluid in it. I think that's it, but I think I saw this thing move. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, that wasn't super tight at all. I need a pick and new knees. All right, so I got the outside nut and the little bendy over keeper ringy thingy off. Now there's another nut inside there. I know I have at least one, maybe two of those around. I think one was for a Dodge pickup that I had back in the day. Yeah, I think I have a couple around. I'm sure I put them somewhere where I wouldn't forget, where I wouldn't lose them. And promptly forgot. So they're gone. I think I'm gonna run to town, go to a parts store, pick some up. I don't need much of an excuse usually to buy new tools. I'll just be brutally honest here. Hopefully my wife isn't watching. All right, so what's the next day? I had to run to Harbor Freight to get a set of these wheel hub lock nut socket set. I wasn't sure exactly which size I wanted, which is good because they come in a whole kit, but one actually fits. So that'll be good. I'll be able to spin that nut off and get the bearing out, and then the whole drum off, swap out the wheel cylinder and keep going. So going to the store yesterday cost me some time with my daughter, and honestly the only thing it cost me was a Chipotle sandwich other than the tools themselves. Took her out for lunch and we went for a hike. It was afternoon well spent. But now, today, focusing on this hot garbage. All right, so I got the drum off, but I have never seen an upper mount like this. I don't know if I've just never been into a axle like this size. The cool thing is that all the stuff actually moves. I'm sure the cable's 100% frozen. There's no doubt about that. So I gotta figure out how to get this off, or maybe that just stays on there. Maybe I'll pull the springs and the shoes come off around it. Maybe I'll go that route. Ooh, that's probably what I'm gonna do, because there is a nut on the back side of this that I think is attached to this pin, but that is tight quarters and I don't think she's coming out of there. All right, so I'm gonna try to leave it alone, disassemble the stuff around it. Thinking. Yep, that's what I'm gonna do. All right, so I got it back together expertly. I was a little bit perplexed by these barn nails and the extra springs, but all I gotta do is push these springs back, and then those bent over barn nail looking capture things, just hook right on real nice and easy. Honestly, it wasn't too bad for being, I don't know, I was expecting it to be way rustier, way stuck, way rounded, but no, everything's moving. This is all looking good. Hardware is, dusty, discolored, but everything's functioning as it should, so I'll clean her up with a little bit of brake clean when I get a chance, and I'm gonna move on to the other side. Okay, so I have all the parts and pieces, yeah, I think so, put together. Bleeders are in, new copper lines, even got the breather. Well, I do have to put a hose clamp or something on that at some point. Probably forget, but I think the mudding days of this thing are over, so I think it'll breathe just fine. Hopefully I won't bury it in a pond. Now, what's on the agenda is to remove my little bleeder contraption one at a time and get the new lines up. They go down to the distribution block. I don't think the fluid will come out very fast, but I want to minimize the mess that I make, so I'm going to try to do this as speedy as I can, one at a time. I don't know if it comes out of here. Oh yeah. Just got to hold your tongue just right. Stand on your tippy toes. Cross thread it a bit, and you're in. All right, there. Again, you always want to use a Allen wrench on stuff like this. You do. I don't have to. Mainly because I don't have one this size. Actually, that's probably not true. I probably have 2 or 3. I just don't know where they are. Story of my life. There we go. I forgot. You got to hold your tongue out and give it the wiggle. And then it just goes together perfect. So with my flaring tool, I feel like I'm tightening this down a little bit more than I have to, just because I don't think those are laser straight that are coming out of my cheapy flaring tool. I think they're reasonable enough. I think what I'm gonna do is open up the bleeder on the back passenger side, see if gravity will start the process for me. All right, starting the bleeding process. All right, pump it up and hold it, Jojo.
Holding.
Okay, do it again.
Holding.
Okay, do it again.
Holding.
Again.
Holding.
Again. 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 Woo! Did you feel something there? Yeah. All right, we'll do that one more time. Again. All right, I'm gonna call this side good. Pump it once. All right, so I got the nuts and the retaining clip and the next nut put back on. Put just a little smear of RTV around there. I'm gonna slide the axle in there just tight. Let the RTV set up before I really cinch down those holding bolts and put the conicals in there. I think they call this type of axle a full floater. I'll show you a full floater. What? I got the back side of this flange all cleaned up. Ooh, there you go. I'm just gonna let that sit like that. Cinch it down. All right, I'll do the same on the other side. Okay, so I got everything put back together. I got most of my mess even cleaned up, which is almost unheard of. The pedal is still a little bit on the spongy side. I don't know if brake booster that's failed. Maybe I didn't get all the air out of the master cylinder, but boy, I didn't see any bubbles. But what I am gonna do, I'm gonna scoot it over into the corner a little bit because I need a little more room over on the other side for, not an additional project, it's part of this project, but it's more work for this project. So let's see if this thing will fire up. It hasn't been started in weeks and I don't even know if there's any fuel in it. Let's see what happens there. Can you believe that trash? Love it. I love it. Ooh, that clutch needs a little work. Oh, you know what? Now that she's running, the pedal doesn't go over to the floor, so maybe the booster is working. Brakes for days. Oh man, this thing just doesn't disappoint. Oh boy. Well, okay, maybe power steering would be nice. Oh, that's phenomenal. Oh yeah, the pedal feels great now. Well, I think crisis averted. No more parts and pieces. Now I just got to sweep up 19 pounds of rust, which is, I don't know, to be expected. I am stoked that my old man's truck is one more step closer to being on the road. I have plenty of hopes and dreams and ideas for that truck. I don't know if any or all of them are going to come true or not, but now I have a little more comfort in a skill that I never had any experience with before. Is this the most exciting video or a task to be documenting? Absolutely not. But they can't all be home runs. I say just take little bites at your project. Don't take one big mouthful. I feel way more accomplished when I have these little tasks taken care of. Then I can move on and plan for the next thing, whether it's another truck I'm working on, or this one, or, I don't know, futz around on something else. That way you obtain little victories along the way. Feel good about it. There's a lot to say about the journey to get there, But as long as you make it to the finish line, that's all that counts. I guess until next time, I'll say good luck with your projects, and thanks for watching.